Hi, I'm McKinnie, and this is my Capstone presentation. I've never been to France or Japan, Ethiopia, or Argentina, but I have experienced my fair share of cultural diversity from right here in the US. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is about 30 or 40 minutes north of Miami, so there's a pretty large mix of cultures. Experiencing aspects of cultures outside of your own was pretty inevitable here. For instance, for school lunch, almost once a week, we would have Jamaican beef patties. And in elementary school, we took Mandarin Chinese classes. I had many friends who were Cuban, Haitian, Jamaican. Actually, I would often ask my Haitian friends, specifically, to teach me some Creole words, because I'd often see them with their Haitian friends or their family speaking in Creole, and I thought it was super interesting. They would teach me basic things like how to say good morning and good evening. And honestly, I think this is where my appreciation for other cultures began. Seeing my friends with their special family traditions and their clothing styles and food that were unique to their own cultures was super cool to me. But in the summer of 2016, I ended up moving to a place that was vastly different than the city I grew up in. I moved to this place called Metter, Georgia, which is a small rural town. We moved there to be closer to my granddad, who lived there at the time, and I initially had mixed feelings about the town. I was excited to be able to experience life in this new place, but it was a lot different than I expected. It was an agricultural town, so there were a billion fields of crops. There weren't any big malls or stadiums or anything like that. There was just one grocery store in the center of town with smaller family-owned businesses around it. As a city kid, this was world-shattering. But over time, I started to see the appeal of this endearing town. As I made friends and became active in the school clubs like 4-H, I started to realize that although it wasn't particularly diverse, the town had its own unique culture, and one that made all the citizens feel like they're a part of your family, and it allowed this appreciation that started in South Florida to grow even more. But I actually moved again in the summer of 2019 to the city of Savannah, and I started going to Woodville Tompkins High School, the school that I currently attend. This is where I took my first Spanish class in 10th grade, my sophomore year, and it's when I decided to actively learn this new language. At Woodville, as I'm sure it's the same in many other schools, we didn't just learn how to speak and read and write in Spanish. We also learned about contemporary and historical life in other Spanish-speaking countries. We talked about life under the dictatorship of Trujillo in the Dominican Republic. We also looked into the different Thanksgiving traditions in Puerto Rico. Not to mention, we also talked about prominent Hispanic figures like Frida Kahlo. My Spanish teacher also provided accounts of her personal experiences, which really showed how much she cared about teaching us. In addition, I joined a club called WISE, which stands for Woodville Tompkins International Students of Excellence. And in this club, we were involved in everything from Latin dance classes. Yes, we danced bachata in the Spanish classroom at school, to listening to insightful presentations from international students who went to Woodville. Outside of Spanish class, Woodville held various culturally informative events that were wonderful and that really made it easy to become more globally minded. And now, as a senior who's practically finished with high school and looking back on my life, I would say I'm extremely lucky. I was able to experience so many amazing things and learn so much about the people around me, and I was set up with the foundation to learn so much more. In the future, I want to pursue a career in either psychology or anthropology. Working in either of these fields would allow me to use the knowledge that I have gained from my experiences to connect people of all cultures.